Hello everyone. Today I'll be going over the Gaia GPS app. This is a pretty cool app that you can use for navigational purposes, like going off road, or camping, or hiking, or whatever you like to do. That's off grid that you need some type of directions or getting a feeling where you're at. I'm just going to get into some of the basic features that I understand of this app. There's a lot to be had with this app. I'm just probably covering just surface level for this stuff, but it should be good enough to get beginners going. So first, let's see what I should go over first. So first, I'm gonna go over layers. Layers is at this top. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic. Right, left, it's all the same to me. So it's top right. There's like these little square boxes on top of each other. That's called layers. What a layer is is just a different type of view of the map. So say for example here I have the active layer Gaia topo map. So this is just the base layer itself. As you can see, you have like cell phone coverage layer, street layer, satellite layer, etc. So say for example, if I click on the cell coverage layer, right? So what this does is it shows you cell coverage for AT&T, and you can actually do the transparency. So I can actually go make it darker, or I can go less transparent where you can barely see it, right? And I can also say since the Gaia Topo app is the base app, everything that I add to it, you can make it more or less transparent. If I exit out of the Gaia Topo app, now it just only shows the cell coverage app. Now that is the base map. So now say for example, if I add the satellite, now the satellite is the base map, and I can still kind of look at the cell phone coverage for like AT&T. So keep in mind that this version that you're seeing here is the premium version. I paid, I don't know, like $50 a year or something. I think the difference between a premium version versus a non-premium or a free subscription is you're really limited on the different layers, and probably some of the features you're probably limited with. There's a lot of coupon codes out there to kind of get a maybe 30-40% off for the year. I don't know what they are. I know that I used it at the time that I purchased my yearly subscription, so I'm sure if you search or Google it, you can find it. So say for example, okay, so kind of going back into the layered maps. Also, you notice that you can kind of change the locations of the layers. I personally like satellite layers. I don't too much care for cell phone coverage because when I go out, I don't care for cell phone coverage. Sometimes street layers are very helpful, kind of to see where you're at versus say for example, you can see where you're at versus the different streets to see how close you are to a particular street. Let's see what's happening here. I don't really. Oh, okay. Let me see. Let's do this here. Or okay, so let me actually exit out of the satellite map, and then this is the street version map. So here you can see you have like Sweeney Pass Road. That's the actual layer itself where you get all the street names. Also, if you wanted to add additional map layers, you can click at the bottom where it says add map layers. And here are some that's recommended. Pretty much, I'm using everything that's in the United States. Anything outside of that, unless I'm traveling there, I don't use it. I haven't used all the topo maps, and as you can see here, you have your basic maps here, and then you have these premium maps. I haven't used all of them, so I'm sure that there's some pretty cool layers to use. However, I just kind of stick with the basics, what I know, because it's enough to kind of get me going. Oh, I didn't actually see this up here. There's some over. Oh, this is pretty cool here. So hey, how did I just do that? Hold on one second. What did I do? Oh, add layer. Okay, so here at the top, you see there's some layers for hiking, layers for overlanding, biking, weather, etc. So I personally, I like to overland. So let me click on this overlanding. Okay, so here you have public land, Gaia topo, which is a very basic one, satellite topo, which I use a lot. I'm not for sure about the other ones. Private lands, which probably is useful. such that you don't go and overland on someone else's private land. Satellite with labels, I like to use that one a lot. Basically, it's just a satellite. So, like, say for example, there's the satellite with no labels, meaning that you just see the terrain as far as in the satellite, but then satellite with labels basically means you see the terrains with, like, campsite names or street names, etc. So layers is one of the cool features. So another, let's see, let's also look at some other cool features. So before I go on to the other features, I want to explain a file called a GPX file. A GPX file, let me see what it stands for, just one second. A GPX. Let me see. What is, and keep in mind, I'm doing this impromptu, so just bear with me. It's a GPX file. Oops. GPX file. Okay, so GPX file, what is a GPX file? How can I open it? So a GPX file is basically a GPS data file saved in a GPS exchange format. This basically what this is like, say for example, if somebody goes out and they use some type of off-road navigation like OnX or maybe Gaia, etc., and then they actually record their run, right? So what the GPX file does is based off of time and your GPS coordinates, it actually saves all that information into a file. And this file is an open standard such that different navigation platforms like Gaia or OnX, I'm not for sure if Google Maps supports it, but basically it's a way that you can generically provide files to different people to share different runs or trips that you've done, and that's what I'm going to show you right now on the Gaia. So for example, for myself in the save location, I have all these different folders, right? So here it says folders. There's tracks, there's routes, there's waypoints, maps, folders, areas, and hikes. So let me go over some of the stuff that I use. First and foremost, waypoints. What are waypoints? Waypoints are just a single GPS location that you want to mark as something. Like, say for example, I have this waypoint here, right? And I'm just gonna go show on map. These two are waypoints, right? And this waypoint here I labeled as mud cave. This is another waypoint here that I labeled as another mud cave. This is a waypoint here that I've labeled as, I think I labeled this as a campsite, right? So when I'm, doing these runs or record my rides, I add these waypoints. You can either add them there or you can come back and add them later. And they basically help you to identify like certain landmarks that you would like to keep track of. So those are waypoints. And keep in mind, like these are all these things that are saved, they're separate entities, but they're used all together, as you can also think of these as layers as well, to kind of get everything on your map that you need. It'll make more sense as I go further. Okay, so maps. So these maps here. Okay, so this is very similar to Google offline maps, but just a lot more powerful. So these maps here are locations that are in red that you want to save, such that you can access those maps offline. And keep in mind that these are based off of the layers that I explained prior. So depending on the layer that you selected, you can go ahead and save a map. So matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that real quick. So well, before we do that, these are some of the maps that I've saved. Like Joshua Tree, I'm not for sure what that is. Typically, I name them very well. Fish Creek, Enza, and as you can see, the different layers are different too. So this looks like I saved a layer for AT&T or something like that. Yeah, the AT&T coverage for Fish Creek, which is in Anza Borrego. And then another, probably the same location, I saved the USGS topo layer. So as you can see, I have like a lot of layers saved, such that when I'm out, if I want to change layers and I don't have a signal, I already have that layer saved. Well, actually, before I go saving it, let me go ahead and go through everything else first, or show you how to save it. Folders is which I like to use a lot. Basically, how I use folders is depending on the location that I want to travel. Like, say for example, I was planning on a trip in Lone Pine, which I haven't done yet. So I was mapping everything out. Lone Pine, as you can see, actually, this is probably not a good example to use. Let's just use Anza, right? So Anza, you can see I have the waypoints, the two mud caves. I have another two waypoints, which is Camp Flat and Anza Camp Sandstones. I have a map, which I did with the Jeep Club in the Salton Sea. I have a map in this map here, which is Anza B 1115 2020. And then I have these. Sorry, so these are actually, I don't know if you call them maps or these are trails that are recorded, and then the actual maps themselves that I've saved, or the terrain or the content that I saved, like the Google's offline maps, are these here, like the Fish Creeks, etc. So as you can see, there are different pieces, but all these pieces, it goes and make up the map that you need to use. Also, I want to label too is, like, say for example, this green eye here, that basically means that it's accessible in the map. So if I click this eye here, then I will be able to see it. This was by the Salton Sea. So you see this one, you see this run here that I recorded. So if I click the eye, then it disappears. The reason why you want to do that is depending on what kind of run you want. Sometimes they kind of overlay on top of each other, and sometimes it's confusing. So I just like to do one trail at a time, as far as, and that's accessible. And as you can see, only for the recorded runs, you have the green eye or the eye crossed out. All the other ones are just there. What else is there? Okay, so besides folders, areas I haven't used, hiked I haven't used, maps I talked about, waypoints I talked about, routes, tracks. Ah, that's what they're called. They're called tracks. Okay, yeah. So tracks are the actual recorded runs. So sorry for the confusion. So tracks is the actual GPX files with the with the GPS location, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so now let's actually save a map. So let me see, how can I do this. So what I'm gonna do here is I want to save a map somewhere far. So let's just do this area here. So now I gotta remember how to save a map. I think I have to press this plus button. Plus button. Okay, great. As you can see, you can add a waypoint, create a route, create area, download maps, take pictures, etc. Import files, etc. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go download map, right? And here you can see I can move these blue bubbles around, and at the very top you can see how many tiles, and you can see the size of the file. Like I mentioned, this is very similar to the Google offline maps. The only difference is this is way more powerful. You can save a lot much more details, but however, the only caveat is these files are much, they can be much larger than the Google offline maps. So I'm trying to figure out, there's a way to, oh, the tiles. Okay, tiles. I can't figure out how to do that. So there's a tiles. I see. Just one second. Okay. So say for example, let's just save that one here. And keep in mind, like, say for example, you can do different layers. So every time well, actually, you could probably save. Let me see if I can save multiple layers at the same time. Let's do both of these. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So you can actually save multiple layers, right? 15 megabytes. Sorry, I'm playing with this at the same time. Does that change the size? Nope. Does that change the size? Nope. Does that change the size? Nope. Okay, cool. So yeah, without even changing the size, you can save multiple layers. So that's good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and save it. And resolution. Okay, so here's the resolution, right? So right now we're at 11 megabytes. At medium, The data you created navigated routes offline, 11 megabytes. Let's see something real quick. Low. This should change the size, but I don't see it changing the size. But let's just go ahead and keep it to high. And then next, we're going to go ahead and edit the name, call it test map, right? And I'll just leave that all the same. The folder, I'm going to go ahead and change folders. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new folder and call it test, because I don't want to add it to my other folders that I've been working on. Okay, so that's done. So now I'm using the test, right? And now I click save. Okay, sorry, there's a lot of saving of this other stuff going on here. That's just because I just added this app on my iPad, so kind of just ignore that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to folders and I'm going to go to test. And as you can see, it's still downloading that map that we just tested, right? So let's just let it finish downloading for a second. Okay, so now if I click it here, so I can either show on the map or expand on the preview map. I'm just going to show on the map. And then, let's see something real quick. Expand on preview. Right, so that's the map. I did the expand on preview. So that's the map that we saved. So now if you're in that area and you don't have a signal, you have access to whatever layers that you saved. Okay, so let's kind of go back and let's save some waypoints. So let's go back into this test location. Let's go back here, and what I'm going to go is I'm going to show on the map, right? So this is a map. So say, for example, I want to create a waypoint, right? So I click plus, I go add waypoint, right? And I can move this waypoint around. Keep in mind, a waypoint is, as you can see, the latitude and longitude as I move this around, it's just one fixed location. Say if I save that as a waypoint, right? And let's just hypothetically say that this waypoint is a restroom or something. So I click save, and I'll just type in restroom or whatever, keywords that you want to use. And I'll just leave everything else the same. Oh, also you can change the icon, right? So here's the icon, and there should technically be a restroom icon. Let's see. Picnic, gas station. It's probably, I'm not that well at looking for things, so it's probably, I already passed it up. But anywho, let's just say, no restroom has to be here. All right, let's just call it the picnic table a restroom, whatever, it doesn't matter. Okay, so that's our restroom with the picnic table. So now when I save it, voila, now we have this waypoint, right? So now, if you look in the folder, let's see, if you look in the folder test, now you can see you have the restroom waypoint and you have your save map, right? So these are just some basic things that you can do or save. As far as in the track itself, it's really kind of hard to show that here because basically you create the track when you're actually recording. Like, so say for example, if you get to the trailhead and then you go ahead and just click record on Gaia, and throughout your duration of your recording or your run, once you finish it, then you stop it and then you save it, and then you save it in a particular folder, and then that will be your track, and it will look something like this. Show me map. Right. So this is a track that I did back in what was it, 11/15/2020 in Anza Borrego. So this is so this is a track, these are waypoints, etc. And also so I guess another key feature that I would like to mention with this is the beauty of this is I can export this file, send it to someone else with the Gaia, and then they would have these exact blue lines, and then they could just go ahead and follow this trail verbatim on their Gaia app, right? So that's so you people can share each other experiences by recording some type of track and uploading the file and passing on to other people, and then they can actually do their own thing. As a matter of fact, I did this trail by reaching out to some folks on the Jeep forum that they had a GPX file. They shared with me. I uploaded to Gaia, and then I got a feel of where I was going. I wasn't lost, but at the same time, I was recording my own tracks. So therefore, I was able to get my own track. If you need to import a file, like say for example, if you have the GPX file, you just import it from here, and wherever the GPX file is located, you just bring it in. What else? Take pictures, download maps, create an area, create a route. Okay, create a route. That's another interesting one. That's a little bit more technically advanced. It's probably easier to do on a computer, but you can actually go and look at the maps and you can create your own route. And then this route basically is like a track. I've tried to play with it before. There's like auto, what do you call it? Like where you can just drag a couple dots and it kind of auto routes the points that you make. However, I won't get into that right now. And also record a track is basically like I was mentioning. Once you get to the trailhead, you can record the track. Okay, so what else is there to be said with this? Okay, settings. Let's just go to settings. Basic stuff here. Appearance, color. I'm not for sure what that color is. Icon. You can change the icon. I did black out. You can, and this is just the icon that you see on your on your iPhone or your iPad, etc. Map controls. I really don't know what this stuff is. I gotta play with this a little bit more. Map downloads, auto resume. Let's see, compass, power saving. Yeah, some of this stuff I haven't really played with much. I know storage is probably a big one because this app can take a lot of data. Right now, I'm taking 1.73 gigs, and that's pretty big just for a navigational app. The reason why it takes so much is because there's a lot of different layers. There's a lot of different details. When you zoom in, you can when you're offline, you'll have a lot more details in your terrain, as opposed to like the Google offline maps. Another beauty about this too is, like you can as you're riding, it tells you your pace, your elevation, etc. I can't remember what this stuff is here. Total time, exit. Let's see, pace, average speed. I think this is as you're actually recording. So I think that's what that is. Yeah. You could probably change different. Okay, yeah. So that's what that is. What else is there? Let me actually go back to. Oh, there's another thing too. Like say for example, um, these. Like say for example, this track here, right? You can add a photo to this track such that when you go back, you can you can see what's around. You can also, oh, that's another thing. Oh, actually, here's another good one too. Like, say, for example, if you had a track and you need to know how to get to the track, keep in mind, Gaia, although it's a navigational um, app, it is not an app that gives you directions. You need a different app to give you directions, like, Apple Maps or Google Maps. So, for here, to get to, say, for example, the trailhead, I would just click Get Directions, and basically it would give me directions from the Apple from my Apple map, etc., right? And then that will be this location here would be the exact trailhead of this Gaia app here, which is this right here, right? So as you can see, that's S2 or Sweeney Pass Road. And if I take a look at that, this should be that same road. Yep, Sweeney Pass Road, right? So that's how you get directions. What else was there? What was I clicking on? Okay, yeah. So guide me, directions. Guide me, I think, what does guide me? I think guide me is actually when you're actually on a track trail. Or sorry, guide me, I believe, I have to play with that once I'm back, doing some off-roading. It's basically when you're on a track or when you're using a track, it guides you through that track. Download maps for track. We kind of went over that. The way I showed you how to do that was manual. Resume recording basically means just continue recording. Oh, actually, this is pretty cool. So I can continue recording for this particular track, which is awesome. Duplicate basically means you want to duplicate it in case you need to modify it, etc. And you know what delete means. Share. Let's see. Share snap, share link, export file. So okay. So say for example, if I wanted to share this, you see at the bottom it says export file, export track to GPX, KML, GeoJSON, or CSV file. I like to stick with the GPX format because that's just what I've been using and it works, and I know other platforms use it. Share links and share snapshot. I think a snapshot is just a picture of this. Link, I'm not for sure exactly what that is. I think the link probably gives you the same track file except it's from the Gaia server. Okay, so let's see. Add photo, edit. So edit. Okay, so one thing you can do is you can crop the track. I'm not for sure what convert to area, convert to route means. I have to look that up, and not for sure about lookup elevations. But oh, another thing you can do is you can change the color, right? So I can change the color to this track to like a different color. Actually, yeah, let me go back. Change color, like red or something, right? And you want to do that because different tracks have different colors. Like say if you, like that eye with the green eye where if you click it, it's visible to the map. So if you have multiple tracks enabled on the same map, you will want them to have different colors so you can distinguish from one track to the other. Okay, let's see what else is there. I think that's pretty much the bulk of it. A lot of this stuff you're going to have to play with because this is one of those apps where you learn it by getting your hands dirty with it. When I first did this app, it took me a lot of YouTube videos to figure it out. It wasn't comfortable using it at first because I didn't know it well, but once I started getting comfortable with it, I really, really started digging this app. Let's see, what is Trip? Trip is, oh, that's if you want to record. Okay, here's actually another good one, is Search. So Search, basically, you can search for tracks depending on where you're at, right? So these are tracks that someone else has shared from their Gaia, right? So say, for example, these are not my tracks. This is somewhere on the Gaia server. So I'm just clicking on any arbitrary one. So 23. Okay, so here's the actual. Okay, so let me just kind of go through this here. So I could save all this information, which basically is the track itself. There's pictures that they took, or whoever did this. There's the distance, which is 23 miles. It took them 10 hours. 25-meter. Well, I don't something about the what is this here said. Okay, here's the elevation plot, etc. They put difficult, type 1 way, etc., right? So this is so if I click on this here, if I show in main map, I don't know if it's not showing because I didn't save it. Actually, let me try something else. Expanded preview map, which is this one here. Okay, yeah, so this is the actual preview map, right? So this is a track of whatever this track is. I have no idea. But the whole premise of this is, say for example, if no, you don't have someone's GPX file, and if you want to just do some trails that some other folks that have done, you can go here on the search button and you can find some stuff, and you can go off roading or hike or do whatever you need to do. Here's a filter. Let's say for example, if we just want to find something that's difficult, and we want to do off roading, no hiking. Let's see, and let's just go apply. Clegg Horn Mountain, which I'm sure many folks has heard of. Henna Flats, 3 and 14. I think I'm pretty familiar with that. Holcomb Valley Campground. Yeah, so there's tons of stuff that you can find. Like say for example, let's do the Holcomb Valley. Right here you have expand in preview mode. Right. Actually, I've actually done this one here. Yep, I've done this one. This one is actually not difficult, but I done this one here, and yeah, so these are pretty cool features to do. So yeah, so this pretty much just concludes the Gaia GPS app. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and hit me up. I can go further in details, once we talk about this further. So thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.